Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. If you're watching this reading was meant to find you. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Sagittarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And you are the magician. You're someone with a high intelligence, probably a high IQ if you've taken those sort of tests. A bit of a polymath. You probably speak several languages, or I feel like at least you're bilingual, right? Because I feel like your mind is capable of going in a lot of different directions at the same time. You're able to really to do this critical thinking or focused thinking, but in a lot of different areas at once. And I feel like people kind of like they want you on their team during trivia night, or you do really, really well watching like Jeopardy. I don't know if people still watch that show. I used to love that show. I feel like you do really well at things like that, you know. Word searches, the anagrams and things. I feel like you get those so fast, you know. And this sort of intellectual energy is really, I think, allowing you to see all possible courses in your life at once. It's like you can see all paths at the same time, and you sort of know how they're all going to end up. And you're able to be, well, discerning which path you're going to take, right? The magician is one who makes it look easy. Thousands of hours have gone into the production, but here you are for half an hour, 45 minutes, you make it look easy. Yeah. I don't know if you're some kind of a performer or you do something that is like that, right? Or even if you're writing a book. People read the book. It may take them a month or a week to read the book, but thousands of hours have gone into writing it. Well, maybe we could read it in a few days, you know? So I feel like there's something like that going on in your life where there's a lot of backstory, but people are only seeing the main event or the finished product. Okay? Let's see what else is going on in your life. This is a very adaptable card. This is very flexible, very fluid. This is somebody that can learn and grow and adapt to a situation and not expect the situation itself to change. Recognizing that to move forward in life in a meaningful way, we have to sometimes find our own meaning. We have to find our own star, our own destiny, right? And I think we are then sort of building our reality around that star, around that light, that divine energy, that spirit, whatever that may really look like for you. Let's put some more cards on the table. Okay, the Magician is one of the best cards of the tarot. It certainly is the wisest. Certainly has the most opportunity. I think the most capability to really do anything. Okay, but the Magician is also the trickster. Okay, so let's keep that in mind. Here we have a 4 of Pentacles, an 8 of Swords, 4 of Pentacles, 3 of Swords, and the Hierophant. Interesting. It's this is a risk. If this is Mercury, Hermes, let's think of a young Hermes, right? Maturing and growing into this very, very wise Hierophant in the future position here. I kind of feel like this is a progression. This is a growth that's taking place. And the only issue, I think, with this kind of growth, or with your transitioning into a Hierophant role, in other words, accepting that you accepting that you're becoming the teacher of something. You're becoming the authority. You're becoming the expert, right? Going from, let's say with the magician energy, going from being the pupil to the teacher. Yeah, and that's a big leap, right? Because when we're the student, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a student. I'm learning, right? It's expected of me to not know the answers, right? But if you accept the role as the Hierophant, as the teacher, as the expert and the authority, as the professor, then it's kind of like you're not allowed to fail. You're not allowed to say, I don't know the answer. Let's look it up. Let's Google it, right? I tell my daughter that all the time. She asks questions and I say, what? I don't know the answer. Let's find out, right? But sometimes when we enter into this position, now I don't know if this is a new job you're taking, a new career move, if you're graduating from a university or a trade school or technical school, if you're becoming a parent, if you're becoming some other kind of graduate, where you now are taking on this role either in your personal life or professional life or anything else. It's kind of like this is a big leap. This is a big transition, And it may be that you're feeling apprehensive about doing this because there's more risk involved. It feels like there are more restrictions on you, that now you don't have the freedom to fail. Now you don't have the freedom to say, I don't know the answer. I'm just a student. I'm just learning. Otherwise, I'm supposed to be the expert, but here I am with this big heavy weight on my shoulders, this burden of having to know everything, So I feel that that's kind of what this year, this cycle of readings has become sort of the 2025 projection, readings. I feel like this coming year, you're going to see yourself really transitioning into this kind of an expert role, okay? You're becoming the master of something. You're becoming the go-to, the one that everybody expects to have the right answer, whether this is in your career or your personal life, I don't know. But I can see that there's going to be an apprehension for you to do that because there's a safety and there's a comfort in just being being perpetually the student, And I think that's a misunderstanding with the Hierophant because we can be both the student and the teacher at the same time. And in fact, in a lot of spiritual traditions and initiatory, esoteric, let's say, traditions, it's very common for there to be a student-teacher, teacher-student sort of relationship. That there is a teacher that teaches a student, but then that teacher also has a teacher. So they're receiving wisdom from above, coming down, and then they're passing it on to their students. So there's a chain. There's an initiatory chain of student-teacher, teacher-student, student-teacher, teacher-student. And, I think that's what we have here. Okay, so it's okay to go into this Hierophant role and to accept this sort of responsibility of passing the wisdom and the knowledge on. But you can still be a student at the same time. Okay? And I think that's important for you to recognize because there's apprehension here. There is this idea of, I don't know if I want to do this because what if I don't know the answers? What if I don't believe in myself enough and, I'm no expert at anything. I don't really know what I'm doing. Sometimes the Three of Swords is just this, almost the absurdity to think that we have, that we're an expert in anything or that we have any sort of wisdom or knowledge to pass on. In some ways, it's a humbleness or a humility, but it's kind of it goes a little bit too far. We're almost refusing the call to become that sort of teacher person, whatever that may exactly look like for you, I don't know. Refusing the call to do that because we don't believe in ourselves. I don't have anything to offer anybody. I don't know anything about anything. I have nothing to pass on to anybody. You got the wrong person, And so we have this disbelief in ourselves that then is going to refuse to answer the call in this new path. But I think this is a really big deal for you. I think this is very huge. I think you're being recognized for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for your expertise. I think people already go to you for answers. That's part of this magician energy, that people are already expecting you to know. We want you on our trivia team. We want you on the home version of Jeopardy or whatever. Like people already feel like you know what you're doing, you know what you're talking about. This, I think, is then accepting kind of an official role in that. Either a job offer or, being put in charge of something at work or in your career or something along those lines. Okay. This could be a transition, a life sort of rite of passage, where we're getting into that that sort of role that maybe is stereotypically reserved for the elder family member who is just kind of like they're the one that that contains all the wisdom of the generations, because they're a generation up here, and then there's the kids, the grandkids, the great grandkids, and they're expected to sort of to pass on all the wisdom of the family, right? Something along those lines. Okay. Sagittarius, if there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Okay. We're going to put the rest of our cards on the table. Let's see what is going on here. There's a Two of Cups. There's the Star card. There's a Queen of Cups and a Six of Cups. This is a way for you to give back to your community. And when I say community, I don't just mean like your neighborhood or the city that you live in or the town or the village or whatever. I mean like your people, your community, the people that you see on a daily basis. Yeah, it could be people in the neighborhood, at the shops that you visit, at the coffee shop or at the grocery store. But I feel like this is more of a family thing. This is more of a connection. This is more of you accepting a role as really feels like the leader of the family. It feels like the one that's sort of, that is able to answer the questions for everybody. The one that's able to teach and pass on the wisdom. Maybe this is you becoming a parent. Maybe this is you literally becoming a teacher. But you're being put in a position where you're going to be a very valued member of the group. I feel like this is more of a family thing than a work thing, but it could be either way. Okay. The Six of Cups to me represents that group of connected, resonant individuals where there is a flow, there is a harmony between everybody. There is mutual support, love, and affection. There's real connection and support here. Okay. These are your people. Whether it's at work, at home, at school, it doesn't matter. It could be your relationship. It could be this is the student-teacher relationship. Maybe you're in front of a classroom. Maybe you're being asked to give a speech or a lecture or a presentation. Maybe you have written a book and now you got to go on the book tour and you got to sit up in front of the people at the library and read a chapter and talk about yourself. Well, if we have this sense of humility, then it's just kind of like, I don't want to do it because I don't believe in myself. And you know what? I've been there too. I've been asked to give a presentation or give a lecture or speak or just, meet with a group of people. And in my life, I've declined. I make up an excuse. I'm sick that day, But really, it's just because I don't believe I have anything to offer. So, it would feel that I would be fake. I would be up there and it wouldn't be true. And I would be deceiving everybody, And that's the Three of Swords creeping in on you, causing this disbelief. And you know what? This card's right at the top of the path of the dove. Because it's safe and secure, it feels better to just be sort of isolated in our magician energy in the Four of Pentacles and Four of Cups, feeling like I am always going to be the student. That is my role as a student, and I'm never going to feel confident enough in my knowledge or wisdom to be ready to pass that on. So it's kind of like I'm going to stay here in the library and study until I'm confident enough in what I know, and then I can go out and share that with the world, and I can teach, or I can write the book, or I can give the presentation or whatever. The problem is that day will never come. There's no one, I think, in the world, in the history of the world, that's ever said, I know everything now, I'm ready to be a teacher. No, it's kind of just a role almost that's thrust upon us. Okay? And we have to somehow muster the confidence and the energy to do it, even if we're not so confident, we're not so secure in what we know. We're going to do our best, right? And that sort of is, it's part of the resonance of the Six of Cups too, because it's not just a one-way street. It's not just you pointing your finger and, emitting knowledge and wisdom to other people, and they're just sort of passively receiving it, like a laser beam right into their third eye or something. It's an interaction. It's a question and answer. It's a dialogue. Very philosophical kind of thing. And you probably find that you're a very philosophical person anyway. Yeah. Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're just going to set it down right here with Clark W. Griswold III. And now we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together and give us our confirmation if you have a prediction. Please put it in the comments. Okay. Let's take a look around the room. We see some very good major arcana energies. Of course, the Magician, the Hierophant, and the Star. You're being directed to follow the starlight out in the world around you. This isn't a time for hermit mode, right? This is a time for looking outside yourself toward your greater purpose. What Spirit is showing you out in the world that you are being offered, the opportunity for you to take advantage of. If we're refusing that and we're enforcing this sort of hermit mode of the Four of Pentacles, where we're just trying to stay inside, shut the doors, shut the windows, and then we can't hear Spirit knocking, that's a situation that won't last for very long. Okay, so like I say with the Star card here, I usually say the Star card has two functions or two phases of its energy. One is to illuminate us inside, show us what's going on, show us what's up with ourselves, right? Where our buttons are, right? What things push our buttons, where our knots of karma are, where our weak spots and sore spots are, so that we can heal, we can work on them, we can unravel the knots. And doing that, the light is then able to flow through us more easily, because it's not jammed up by all this junk inside, right? So the light flows out and shows us like a sidewalk that's sort of illuminated, right? With those little solar kind of lights or whatever. Shows us our path, okay? And, this is what you see now out in the world. You see something that's lit up for you. It's like a neon sign that says Sagittarius and a little arrow pointing down into the door. And you're just saying, I don't want to go in there. Must have the wrong person. That's not for me. I'm no Hierophant. I'm no teacher. I'm no expert at anything. I have nothing to offer anybody. I have nothing to say, And I kind of wonder if you're being asked to give a presentation or a lecture or something like that, especially with these two major arcana energies, because this is the performative aspect of the Hierophant. This is the Hierophant, the one that has the expertise, the knowledge, the wisdom, has something to say. And the Magician is the one that can say it. There's an eloquence, And so I feel like you're the right person for the job. But with the Three of Swords and the Four and even the Eight of Swords down here, I feel like you don't want the job. Okay? So I think in 2025, this opportunity is going to present itself. It may already have. It may be appearing now as we speak. But I feel that there is a reluctance in you to accept this position or this opportunity or this whatever, this invitation. And we don't see any fire energy, because I think there is really a confidence that needs to be aroused here in order for you to, to engage in this and to make 2025 that year where you you ease into this Hierophant role. Maybe it is one particular event. Maybe it is, and if it is an event, one particular event, it's going to cause sort of a chain reaction of a lot more of the same. It's opening up a new pathway of opportunity for you. You do it once, more likely to do it again, But I think we need that confidence, and I think 2025 is going to be the year where you begin to ease into that Hierophant role. You're not losing the Magician role or that student role. But in another way, looking at this, the Magician is sort of focused on creating a personal reality, whereas the Hierophant might be now moving into a concern more for the sort of public reality. See, if the Magician is, I'm trying to construct my reality, I'm the Magician, I want to cause change and conformity with my will, the Hierophant is one that's concerned for everybody else too. So it really could, this in some way is you stepping outside of yourself. Right? The ability to focus on something greater than just you and your personal reality or your personality. We're now kind of moving into the generality or the general reality, the community around you. So this is, even if it's not exactly a teaching thing, this is you taking a more active role in the community, the family, the friends, the workplace, really being part of the culture and realizing, accepting, and acknowledging that you have something very valuable to contribute to that culture. Okay? So this, like I said, this is going to be a year where you are outside of yourself more. Okay? And the Four of Pentacles is us really just wanting to stay home. Honestly, the Four of Pentacles, we just shut the doors and the windows and just want to be here, where it's comfortable, it's safe, it's warm. Nobody's looking at me, nobody's asking me questions. As eloquently as I sometimes can be on this channel, in my personal life, when people ask me esoteric questions or they ask me even questions about tarot or about my work, I don't find that I can communicate as easily. Okay? And that's just me being real. Out in my personal life, I don't really have, I don't have that ability to really talk and give a lecture and speak to a group of people or even answer questions literally about tarot, right? And that's really the Three of Swords. It just feels like there's just not a there's not a confidence there. It's this feeling as if it's not, I don't know enough yet to really be able to answer your questions, But I think that's, in your case, that's not true, right? And so the Magician card really is this eloquence and this knowledge and this wisdom that you have. And Spirit's saying, okay, now we got to share that. Now you've got to write the book. You've got to start the website. You've got to start your YouTube channel. You've got to go give the presentation or the lecture. You've got to be the one to answer the questions and talk to people and step outside of yourself. Okay? It's the same thing as someone who's very, very good at the guitar, like just a virtuoso with the guitar in their bedroom. But then you get them in an open mic night and they freeze up. They get that stage fright. They just start sweating and it's just terrible. But really, that would be a good start, because I see that we're not even leaving the house with this, And so anyway, there's no fire. We do have good water energy, though. Look at this. We have a 2, 4, 6. It's exponential sort of growth of the water energy. I mean, I guess maybe not exponential, but the love, the feeling, the pleasure, the sense of purpose is multiplying in you. Okay? It's growing at the very least. We have our air energy, of course. Yes, we do. Let's not forget about that water energy. We have our air energy that's sort of, it's sandwiching you, right? And the earth energy right in the middle. Now, the earth energy is sort of protecting you from the breeze, from the storm, the wind of the air, right? And so in that sense, we're kind of staying home. And if I stay home, and if I just say no, and if I just isolate myself, then I don't have to entertain those thoughts of not being good enough, and what if I fail, and how am I going to do it? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good enough. So we avoid those negative thoughts by just not doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of like somebody asks you, hey, do you want to give a presentation? And now that's the sword. Now that wind is blowing in our minds, and we're just starting to get anxiety, and we're starting to think all these thoughts about it. But if we just say, oh, no, sorry, I'm busy that day. Okay. Now I don't have to deal with the negative thoughts. Now I don't have to deal with my head. I don't have to deal with myself. And that's the Four of Pentacles. This is kind of that we're saying no just to stop those thoughts from happening. And God forbid we say yes, and then we get even more of those thoughts that are going to come in and sort of torment us. And so we shut ourselves up in the house here, close the windows and close the doors. Then we don't feel the wind. The thoughts can't get to us. There's no need to think about it anymore. So we try to just ignore it. Out of sight, out of mind. I said no. I'm not doing it. And maybe we even make excuses. I'm sick that day. I'm busy that day. I really can't make it. And then we don't have to deal with all the stress. Right? But I think the Eight of Swords underneath everything is sort of that wind that's going to subtly penetrate your house here. You get through the windows and the doors. The thoughts will still creep in. We say no to something. Before we know it, we're just kind of, we find ourselves thinking about it anyway. And we thought we were safe from the worry and the stress of it, but now here we are thinking about it. And now we're running into, well, what if? Well, maybe I should have done it. Well, it's too late now. Well, I would have done it and I would have just looked silly, or it would have been embarrassing, or everybody would have looked at me like I was crazy, like, why are you even here? What are you doing? Like, you're nobody, you know? And so we kind of convince ourselves that we did the right thing by saying no, saved everybody the grief of having to deal with me. And this is, you know, before we know it, like I said, we're confronted with this air energy anyway. So our plan to isolate ourselves and really protect ourselves from this stress and from this, maybe the insecurity, the doubt, the fear, whatever, it's not really working. We're going to get it anyway. Okay. Behind everything, you've got a Four of Cups. And the Four of Cups is, to me, it feels like it's a period of that sort of introspection, but to me, it feels more as if we've gotten comfortable somewhere. Okay, this is an emotional comfort that we're hoping, if we sort of decline and we just refuse to move. See, we have 4. Anytime we get a 4, we start looking for the 5, right? We don't have that. So we feel as if we stay here, we're going to feel okay. We'll feel decently. We're going to avoid the storms. I mean, these are really stormy sort of air cards out here. And the Four of Cups then is this feeling of I'm safe, I'm happy, I'm trying to be comfortable just in my house. I don't want to change anything. I don't want to take this big risk. I don't want to make this big move. I don't want to accept this invitation. So if I just say no, I cut it off, I ignore it, then I could go back to just being comfortable. Not happy, but comfortable, right? And the reason this is in the background here, because I think it's something that we need to move away from. We need to get out of comfort. We need to be okay being uncomfortable. We need a 5, right? And in some ways, we're building a 5 because we're taking our 3 of Swords and we're adding it to that 2. So we're going to eventually get out here and start pursuing this thing, because I do feel like it's meant for you. You can see the starlight outside trying to show you the way, right? It's kind of, it's Harry Potter with all the owls dropping the mail off, you know, and his uncle or whoever is trying not to let him see it, or trying to protect him from that in some way. But the owls are going to keep coming. So eventually we're just going to have to accept it and do it, you know. But the Four of Cups and the Four of Pentacles is the comfort that we need to move away from. Keeping ourselves here is not really going to help us. It's not really going to last, because the thoughts are going to eat away at us. And eventually we're going to either regret that we made a mistake. That was a big opportunity. I can't believe that I just ignored it, or I just said, no, I'm busy or something, and I didn't do it. Whether this is a big event or if it's a transition into a new sort of role in your life, it's happening, okay? And trying to ignore it, trying to deny it, trying to stop time, trying to stop the process of change, it doesn't work. It creates more problems than it solves, okay? So we need to get out of the comfort zone here. And we talked about the 3 of Swords being the doubts, being the pessimism, being this sort of humility, but it goes to an extreme where it just says, I'm not capable of anything, I have nothing worthwhile to say, so therefore, no. And it may even appear to other people that you don't care, or that you are mean or angry, or you don't like them or something, you know, but really I think it's kind of directed at it's a defense mechanism. It's defending ourselves against being hurt, or being ashamed, or being embarrassed, that we push people away, you know. But the Hierophant is there at your door, and I think this is your sort of future self. And even with the Magician energy, it's kind of like there's adaptation there. That it may be a stage fright kind of thing, but we're going to get used to it. It's going to be okay. We'll always be sort of scared or excited or nervous or anxious, but the more we do it, the smoother it will go, right? So the Hierophant in the future position, this is what you're moving toward, whereas this comfort is what you're moving away from. Okay? But I feel like this Hierophant role for you, whatever this huge thing is that's happening for you in 2025, I think it's going to bring you a lot more joy than you realize. But in order to get the 6, the 2 and the 6 of Cups over here, we've got to get away from this comfort. So we got to be able to step outside the box. Okay? So we do need some fire energy or something that's showing we're getting out of the box here. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It is totally free, doesn't cost anything, and it really supports the channel, and I appreciate that. So your general energy, 2 of Cups. This is love, baby. This is, I think, a real sense of purpose. I think this is the urge to merge with this thing. Whatever this role is, whatever this life is, if the Hierophant is sort of your ideal self, or the version of yourself that you're sort of evolving into, the 2 of Cups is saying that you really do want this. That there is something in you that is pulling you toward this, but your mind is trying to shut the doors. Lock the windows and close your doors, right? But the urge to merge, I think, is stronger than that mental energy that's the mind that's trying to cut it off and really trying to protect the self, right? Protect the ego, protect the emotions by just denying this thing, by rejecting it, by being a little bit mean to people to keep them away, to stop asking, But this is something that you really, really want. And I think that it's happening whether we like it or not, mentally, This feels like a purpose for you. It feels like the next, I was going to say logical step, but no, it's just the next intuitive step for you. It makes sense in that way, in that spiritual way. Okay. You are, I think, ultimately deep down in your general energy, you are ready. You are ready to meet with this Hierophant. Now, there is a chance that the Hierophant here is actually an external teacher for you. And I know that's kind of the obvious way of looking at the cards here. And so I want to make sure we address that. It could be that you are this magician student. And it could be that in the very near future, in 2025, you're going to meet with a teacher that's very important for you. There's going to be a reluctance there. There's going to be an unwillingness for you to meet with that person. But I think the 2 of Cups is saying that ultimately you're going to feel that this is the right partnership, that this is the right relationship. Not romantically, but in terms of that teacher-student relationship. So I want to make sure we address that point because it's very obvious. It's a very literal way of reading the cards today, but that could be the case for many of you. The teacher will appear, and you're sort of, maybe the 8 of Swords is you having these questions that are unanswerable. The right teacher is going to come along, and if you ask the right questions, then I think you will get the answers that you need. All right. And the 2 of Cups really is the desire to unite with this, to engage with that Hierophant, whether this is you or a third party, somebody else. And it could very well be both. Okay. It could be that you are taking a role as a teacher in your own life, but you also need a teacher yourself, right? It's sort of like with with therapy or counseling or something. Like you have a psychotherapist, but your psychotherapist has one too, and it's just sort of it's that natural chain, and I think that really makes things work a lot better. But anyway, the Star card in the environment, whether this is your new role that you're stepping into, or this is a teacher that is appearing in your life, you can see that it is meant for you. There is a clarity there when you step into this situation. It's going to feel right. it's going to have a sense of holiness to it. Okay? It's not going to feel like it's not going to feel wrong. It's going to sparkle a little bit more than everything else may be sparkling. You're gonna know that Spirit is illuminating that path for you. There will be synchronicities. There will be a sign. Okay. And this is taking you outside of yourself, outside of your four walls, whether these are physical walls or emotional walls. It's taking you outside of yourself for a greater purpose. Okay. The Queen of Cups in the position of the obstacle. That's a great river to cross, right? Because this goes really, really deep. And this is kind of, in order to get to the harmony, resonance, the love, the connection, we've got to cross this personal river of our own emotional depth. In other words, dealing with the swords cards and getting out of the box here is really a challenge because of a very deep emotional kind of history. There are reasons why we're feeling the way we're feeling here. Even though with the swords cards, it doesn't really seem like we're feeling anything. It's a mental energy. That mental energy is trying to prevent something else from happening. It's trying to protect us from something. And the Queen of Cups is, in some ways, us realizing that, okay, the reason why that mental energy is there is because of something else. Does that make sense? Because of our deep emotional nature, this is sort of what we have to, this is the river we have to cross. That doesn't mean that we have to dive down into the river or into the sea here to find out what it is, what happened. Let's deal with the issues. Let's churn up the water and figure out why are my swords cards doing what they're doing to me right now. It may not be that we have to deal with it like that, but we have to realize that it is something of an emotional nature from the past, from our history, that is bringing about those swords cards. That's why we're thinking the way we're thinking. And if we acknowledge that, it makes it a little bit easier for us to just cross the river. Maybe now's not the time to really dive in and get to the bottom of it, but we have to acknowledge that this is why it's happening, and therefore, I know I just need to keep moving forward. Okay. Otherwise, this deep emotional history is going to prevent you from getting that connection, that resonance, that harmony, that sense of community, that sense of support, connection, and really, bringing your very important and meaningful energy to the group or to the school or the workplace or the friend group or the family or whatever it is. So that's the river that we have to cross. Okay, and again, it doesn't mean that we have to dive in and get to the bottom of everything. But if we acknowledge that these are here because of this, then it's okay. Well, then I can keep going even when this is sort of sounding the alarms. I can keep going knowing that this is not actually in the present. The queens are always looking at the past, So this is something from long ago that's still influencing us now, and it maybe not be one specific thing. It could just be the way we were raised our whole life up to this moment, and now being presented with this path forward, the mind, the intellect, the thoughts start to act up. But it's kind of like we're not looking at this situation objectively. We are responding to something else that's going on in us, in our emotional body, from long ago, from our entire life history. Okay? So it's not really an objective view of the way forward. And that's sort of the resistance to the star energy. And if we just acknowledge that that's taking place, then we're able to keep pushing ourselves forward toward that destiny, that fate, and we'll experience that connection. The Six of Cups is a beautiful card. Absolutely harmonious, feels good. It's a card of pleasure. It's going from this sort of sense of luxury, this sense of comfort, to real comfort, real pleasure now. This is a transcendence of just that Four of Cups. This feels so much better. This makes the Four of Cups look like a Nine of Swords, right? Makes it look miserable. This is that kind of happiness. This is the best day. This is the sweet spot of life. All right. Let's look at our mystery card. Fire energy, perhaps. I would like to see that. If you have a prediction, Sagittarius, please put it in the comments down below. I'm thinking fire. I'm thinking maybe even like a Fool card, right? Where we just kind of like, we're not understanding everything. We're not confident. We're not worried about. We just sort of have pushed our thoughts aside, and we're just going to leap into it, because we know that all these thoughts aren't really real. That they're just trying to. It's just a defense mechanism. There's really no danger here. There's nothing to be afraid of. I'm kind of thinking Fool. Let's take a look. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. There's the Fool card. Because this, again, it's not, it's not that we're getting to the bottom of that river and figuring out, okay, why am I thinking, why am I so scared about this? Why am I so nervous or upset? Why do I doubt myself so much? Let's dive into that. No, let's save that for your counselor or therapist, or your meditation or whatever that is. But in this situation, it's just enough to acknowledge that, okay, that's what's affecting me now. That's kind of what's going on. I don't know the cause of it. I don't know how to fix it, but that's why I'm having the thoughts I'm having. And if we just acknowledge that, then the Fool can let go of those thoughts and just take the steps into this future and either encounter this teacher that you need in your life right now, or to become that sort of teacher that your world needs. You see. So someone is becoming a teacher for you, you're becoming a teacher for somebody else, or in this larger context. Okay? And the Fool is just kind of letting go. The Fool's just kind of saying, yeah, I hear the thoughts. I'm choosing to let them go and not abide by them, and just allow myself to drift forward into this starlight, It's going to be a great year for you. Really is. We're going to do an extended reading too. If you want to stick around, there is a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Sagittarius, Wednesdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's totally free. It doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.